You have been lied to since the exact moment you were born into this economy. You were conditioned to believe that if you just put your head down, work an 80-hour week, sacrifice your sleep, and demonstrate ultimate loyalty to a corporation, you will inevitably become wealthy. It is a beautiful, noble story, and it is a mathematical trap deliberately designed to extract your finite lifespan for pennies on the dollar. Today, you are going to learn exactly why your hard work guarantees you will stay permanently middle class. More importantly, you will learn the exact clinical equation the elite use to decouple their income from their time. So what does that mean for you? It means you will stop trading your life for depreciating paper, and you will build the automated architecture required to multiply capital while you sleep, giving you absolute sovereignty over your own existence. Society worships the struggle. We idolize the employee who arrives first and leaves last. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But when you strip away the romantic narrative and look at the raw clinical data, the hardest working people on the planet are usually the poorest. If wealth were simply a byproduct of physical or mental exertion, every single construction worker, emergency room nurse, and middle manager would be a multimillionaire. But they are not. They are exhausted, heavily medicated for stress, and exactly one missed paycheck away from total financial ruin. The 99% operate under the delusional premise that effort automatically equals equity. They are playing a linear game in an exponential world. The 1% operate on a completely different plane of physics. They know that human effort is a terrible financial asset because it is biologically capped. They do not try to work more hours, they build leverage, the mathematical trap of the salary. To understand why your salary is keeping you broke, you must step out of the corporate matrix and look at the actual math. You are joining the minority that builds systems, not resumes. The fundamental problem with the traditional corporate job is the mathematical formula it forces you to rely on. You are trading time for money. It does not matter if you make $20 an hour or $200 an hour. You are bound by the absolute laws of physics. There are only 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep. You have to eat. If you get sick, if you burn out, or if you simply want to take a vacation with your family, the income instantly drops to zero. Your wealth is permanently capped by your physical presence. And the financial system loves this vulnerability. Corporations are not evil entities. They are just perfectly rational, cold machines. They buy your time at wholesale prices, use it to build their own scalable assets, and sell the results at retail prices. The difference between what your time actually produces and what you are paid is their profit margin. When you work overtime, you are not building your empire. You are building theirs. The biological illusion of security. You have to ask yourself why millions of highly intelligent, highly educated people willingly sign up for this mathematical slaughter. It comes down to ego and the biological need for predictability. The corporate system offers an incredibly seductive drug to your primitive brain, the bi-weekly paycheck. It is predictable. It is safe. It removes the terrifying uncertainty of the open free market. But that safety is a complete illusion. The moment the corporation decides to restructure to please Wall Street, or the moment an algorithm replaces your specific skill set, your single source of income vanishes overnight. You are trading your ultimate freedom for the temporary illusion of security. Furthermore, the middle-class ego is deeply attached to the identity of the hard worker. We complain to our friends about how busy we are. We brag about our lack of sleep. Being busy makes us feel important to the tribe. It makes us feel validated. But being busy is not the same as being productive. And it is certainly not the same as being wealthy. You think you are ambitious. You are not. You are just exhausted. The B.F. Skinner trap. We need to look at how the system keeps you paralyzed. Harvard psychologist B.F. Skinner proved this decades ago with his experiments on operant conditioning. He placed rats in a cage with a simple lever. When the rat pressed the lever, a tiny pellet of food dropped out. Skinner discovered that by manipulating the timing of the food, he could control the behavior of the animal with terrifying precision. The modern corporate salary is a perfectly executed fixed ratio schedule. You show up for 40 hours. You press the lever, you receive your bi-weekly paycheck. It is just enough money to keep you comfortable. It is just enough to pay the interest on your consumer debt. And it is perfectly calculated to prevent you from taking the massive risks required to escape. The predictability of the salary tranquilizes your survival instinct. You become a domesticated animal in a financial zoo. You are not poor enough to rebel, and you are not rich enough to be free. You are paralyzed in the middle, the painful truth about wealth. This is the turning point. This is where you must brutally destroy your own ego and face the reality of your situation. Your hard work is not a virtue. It is a symptom of a lack of leverage. If you have to be physically present in a building to make money, your financial architecture is broken. The elite do not work hard for money. Working hard is for the poor. While you are stressing over a meaningless promotion and begging management for a 3% raise that barely covers annual inflation, the 1% are operating a completely different machine. They realize that human time is the most precious, finite resource in the universe. They absolutely refuse to trade it for paper currency. The elite replace linear human effort with scalable architecture. So, what exactly does this mean for you? It means you will stop trying to increase your hourly rate, and you will start building assets that operate without your physical involvement, giving you an unfair, untethered advantage in the global economy. The architecture of leverage. The moment you decide to permanently escape the middle class, you must adopt the ultimate wealth equation. This is the mathematical formula of the 1% wealth equals value multiplied by leverage multiplied by time. Let us break that down clinically. Value is the specific solution you provide to the market, but the explosive magic happens in the leverage variable. Leverage is the mechanism that multiplies your effort infinitely. Historically, there were only two forms of leverage available to humanity. The first was labor. You hire other people to do the work for you. But managing human beings is complex, expensive, and incredibly stressful. The second was capital. You use money to make money. You buy commercial real estate, you invest in private businesses, you buy index funds. The capital works 24 hours a day without complaining, without sleeping, and without asking for a raise. But today you are living in an era where we have access to the ultimate frictionless forms of leverage, code, and media. A piece of software, an automated digital system, or a piece of media costs you time to create exactly once. But it can be duplicated, distributed, and consumed by 1 billion people at zero marginal cost. It does not require a physical factory. It does not require a warehouse of employees. It works while you sleep. It works while you travel. It works while you are spending time with your family. The 1% are obsessively focused on acquiring equity and building these scalable systems. They write a book. They build an application, they buy a cash-flowing property, they automate a digital business, they invest heavily in the S&P 500. They are constructing a massive silent machine with thousands of moving parts that continuously push capital into their bank accounts, completely independent of their daily calendar. The neurochemistry of the owner. When you shift from the mentality of an employee to the mentality of an owner, your neurochemistry actually changes. An employee operates on fear. They fear their boss. They fear the performance review. They fear the layoffs. An owner operates on strategic logic. They do not view their time as something to be sold. They view their time as the raw material required to build the machine. Every hour you spend watching television or complaining about the economy is an hour you could have spent writing code, recording media, or researching an asset. When you build leverage, you fundamentally change your relationship with time and money. If you make $10,000 a month from a high-stress corporate salary, you are successful in the eyes of society, but you are not actually free. You are a highly paid hostage. But if you make $5,000 a month from automated systems, dividends, and scalable equity, you are completely sovereign. You have bought back your life. You can wake up on a Tuesday morning and decide to do absolutely nothing. You can take massive risks. You can negotiate every single deal from a position of absolute power because you do not need the corporate paycheck to survive. Artificial security versus real sovereignty. This destroys the salary trap completely. When the wealthy want more capital, they do not ask a boss for permission to work more hours. They do not beg for overtime. They log into their system and scale their leverage. They increase their ad spend. They optimize their code. They acquire more real estate. Their personal time involvement remains completely flat, while their net worth accelerates vertically on a J-curve. The financial industry and the corporate world desperately want you to stay focused on your salary. They want you reading endless articles about how to optimize your resume, how to dress for an interview, and how to impress your middle manager. Because as long as you are distracted by climbing the corporate ladder, you will never realize that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. They want you trading your life for money because your compliance is the foundation of their wealth. It is time to elevate your financial consciousness. You must stop trying to be the best domesticated employee in the zoo and start becoming a cold, clinical architect of your own leverage. You do not need a better job. You do not need to work harder. You do not need a new boss. You need a system that assumes you want to be completely absent from the process and builds wealth for you anyway. While others endlessly chase the illusion of a safe salary, you build systems. While others spend their energy begging for a raise, you acquire equity. While others complain about the system, you quietly manipulate it to your advantage. That is not just financial independence, that is sovereignty. And sovereignty is the quiet, invisible superpower that separates the 99% from the elite. Hit the subscribe button as your declaration of commitment. Are you choosing to remain a highly paid slave to the corporate clock? Or are you ready to build the machine? Execute your ego. Build your leverage. See you in the next protocol.